A sword! Give me a sword! Sit down, lady!
Even after doing the Polar Express, I mean, this is sort of a mammoth undertaking to move from that to this. What sort of convinced you coming into the project that Zemeckis could sort of successfully realize this, on film?
I had never seen Polar Express. I still actually haven't seen the film. I've seen clips from it, and I had heard that there were concerns about the eyes in it. And they had particular technologies in this film that they didn't have, making that dealing specifically with the eye motion. When we were shooting the film, I did not know whether this would come off looking just like an animation that did not have the nuance and essence of that which the actors were putting forth, or I was particularly concerned my character I knew would not necessarily wholly look like me, and I did not know what nuance would come forth, because there's nuances that come forth in the face. I didn't know what would happen, and it was only almost 2 years after shooting it that I saw rendered what it would be that I would look like, and I was very pleased to see that it did have the nuance, and I could feel that it was myself in the film, and not only that, I was very pleased with the performance.
I don't think I was convinced. I mean, I didn't know. I don't think anybody knew how it was going to turn out, but we hoped and we trusted Robert Zemeckis, the director, and I thought he really made that happen. I thought that there was definitely, you could see the life in their eyes, and I think that was what he most wanted to convey or change from Polar Express.
I'd seen Polar Express. I didn't know it was going to look like what Beowulf looks like. I had no idea. I couldn't conceive how they could possibly do this. Without Polar Express, we wouldn't be where we are with Beowulf. And God knows what the next one will look like. It's going to get better and better. So technically, I had no idea how he was going to go about it. And I guess to some extent, Bob had an idea, the workings of it, but we were still inventing things as we were going along, So the technical side of it, I kind of just left that to them. And I went and performed, which I guess the rest of the actors probably did as well. We're all first-timers at it. So.
Doing motion capture, you have to wear, you have a bodysuit and you have a skull cap and you have these digital reflecting dots, and so it's strange, getting used to that and then looking at everybody else with that. But it reminded me a lot of doing black box theater, because you're in a small space and you have to really use your imagination to get to the performance, you know.
I see you brought me treasure.
Show yourself! What are you?
Are you the one they call Beowulf?
Does working on a movie like this require a different kind of imagination as an actor than you would, say, if you were playing a lawyer in a normal drama or a comedy or something like that?
No, I don't think so. I mean, one of the reasons I think actors remain so childlike, or one might say childish in certain instances, is because you have to, for the work, have to retain your capacity to imagine and your capacity for play, really. And whatever capacity that form takes is almost irrelevant. And in this process, especially for anyone who's done a play, it's really second nature, because you're actually there in a room doing the scenes, saying the lines, doing the actions with the people that you're working with.
Well, how did Robert make you feel comfortable to sort of get past maybe the self-consciousness?
He's like a kid in a sweet shop. He gets the giggles with it because he gets excited by the challenge of inventing things. I mean, he does it on more or less every film he makes, it seems. You know, he's Forrest Gump, you know, the fellow in it, he's making it with no legs. He's got legs, and he's made a film with Back to the Future. They're always inventing something new and taking the film industry and the way of making films another step ahead, you know, I guess, and that's the way it should be. When you talk to him, when you talk to him about, and you're looking at a model and you're trying the costumes on, and he comes up with an idea, he giggles, he gets excited, and it's kind of contagious. You do as well, and it's very easy to get caught up and taken along for that ride, and I've got to tell you, a pleasure as well, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, Robert definitely made us feel comfortable. He's very direct in his approach, and he's specific, but then he gives you the freedom, you know, to make mistakes, or, you know, just kind of make some more risky choices. Yeah.
Given the technical demands of this project, did you feel the same sense of freedom, or did Robert give you the same sense of freedom that you could improvise and deviate
Absolutely.
and do whatever you wanted?
Well, I don't think many people improvised in terms of the script, because improvisation can be somewhat difficult with a piece of writing that's over 1,000 years old. Even though it's not in sort of ancient Saxon or Old English or anything, the script, it's in pretty plain, simple English. Certainly you had a lot of freedom, and I think all the actors felt that, and felt, actually, I think, much more excited than I would normally see them being involved with the movie, because not because it's something that's cutting edge or something that's cool. It's actually you're kind of seeing what a kind of future in the movies could very well look like, at least for certain types of stories.
Was pretty much all of the character defined in the script, or was there a challenge in sort of balancing the archetypal nature of his sort of...
It is 2 years. It's 2 years ago, and it's kind of different. The writing was so good that, you know, when you turn up, you make it yours, and you do in any job you kind of do, I guess, in a way. But you got to have a great script there in the first place, and a great character there in the first place, to actually be allowed to go and play with it. You know, especially if you're a lead. It's right if you're coming in doing a cameo or doing something there, you can always bring something to it. But I think the basis of a character is usually there, and it was with this. I just for me, I probably went a little bit deeper, you know, and touched on more of the emotional side of Beowulf probably would be, you know, because if he starts off as this great warrior, this great man, who he's obviously got some honour and some dignity about him, you know, and which you see in the first early scenes when he comes and he talks to the Hrothgar's people. That becomes when the stories start getting told, and they were exaggerated stories, and he goes along for the ride. He can't lie to himself, you know. It starts to eat away at someone. So then you get ambition come in, and greed and lust, and you know that's the way I went with it. And to the end where he becomes a monster and then becomes the hero again and redeems himself, and it's too late. Because the one thing he really needed was just the love and people, not to be feared, to be liked in a way, you know. And I guess that's a story that goes back through time with man, you know. We still do it today, you know.
Well, is it a fun challenge then to sort of juxtapose sort of maybe the archetypal nature of the story with sort of what we now would sort of think of in terms of the complexity or ambiguity of a character like Unferth?
But you know, yes. But I think a lot of those complexities and ambiguities are actually referred to in the original Beowulf. They're just not as developed as one might do it in a, I want to say more complicated because that wouldn't quite be fair, perhaps, to the original material. But let's say a modern audience would perhaps demand more ambiguities or complications in a story like this.
The excellent screenplay by Neil Gaiman and Roger Avery, it really sits in a portion of your brain that most films don't sit within. I've been producing my own films and directing a couple of my own films, which I aspire to make movies that have genuine questions within them. And my films tend toward working in a realm of that which is taboo, which I feel can generate a lot of genuine questions and positive educational elements. And I feel a lot of movies that are coming forth from corporately funded and distributed entities at this point in time don't genuinely have questions. But I've been very glad to see that this film does have, it's not necessarily dealing in the taboo that my own films are dealing with, but it does, I think, have genuine questions that you can ponder and think about. And I'm really glad to be a part of that. On top of it, riding on the coattails of it, so to speak, to be able to promote my own films. And people, I'll be opening on the same week that Beowulf opens in New York at the IFC Center, and then going on to the Music Box Theater in Chicago, then Los Angeles at the Egyptian Theater, then the Castor Theater in San Francisco, and then next year in Seattle and Portland, etc. People can find out about it on crispinglover.com. So if you guys can put the link, that would be great.